Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trust versus Fear. How often do you let trust, or how often do you let fear stop you from doing something? Do you trust yourself? How often do you listen to that little voice in your head? Hi, I'm Miss Chrissy D with the PNK Files, your emergency kit to life, and this is Darlene Turner with Victim to Victory, and together we are the perspective. So, you know that little voice that sometimes we don't always listen to? It's like we know there's something in our heart that it's the right thing to do, but we just don't trust it. And we let that fear stop us. It's like that old cartoon with the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. And this is the little voice, and this is the big one stopping us.
Hi, everyone. I love that. I remember that cartoon, and it was pretty big back in the day. And, you know, you're so right that that bigger voice or that voice in our head is really kind of like our ego, but it's also a lot of other people's voices, maybe through our parents, our childhood, or something we've heard that it's just always going. And it's usually pretty judgmental and criticizes and negative, right?
I love that. Our ego voice isn't even our voice. It's everybody else's. Wow.
Yeah. And like I said, it's right from childhood is kind of where a lot of this starts. And I know myself trying to fit in at school, I was a Jehovah's Witness, like I shared, I think in a few shows before. So I was really an oddball right off the bat, because if you did the Lord's Prayer or sang "O Canada," I had to march out of the room and be in the hallway. So there wasn't really much chance of me fitting in or being normal. So it was kind of, yeah.
I remember, you know what? I remember that when I was a kid, we'd start our Mondays or before holidays, we'd all get marched into the gym for an assembly. And we'd have to do the Lord's Prayer and "O Canada." And there was always 2 or 3 kids that had to get up and leave, and everybody turned and stared at them. I always felt so bad. Like everybody knew they weren't allowed to fit in and be part of.
Yeah. And they're lucky there was 2 or 3, because it was just me in my school. So I was, pretty alone. Yeah.
Oh, I feel so bad for you.
It was all good.
You know what? I kind of went through this same thing when I was younger. I didn't fit in, and I was bullied very much as a child. It's kind of funny. My grandfather owned the big jean company that all the kids were wearing. The bell bottoms, the platform shoes, that was my era. And I had drawers full of these popular jeans that everybody wore, and I wasn't allowed to wear jeans to school. I would get sent to school in an orange jumper, a wool orange jumper with gold buttons up the front with the little anchors on them, white knee-high socks, and saddle shoes. And I'm old, but I'm not that old that was the style, not anywhere near it. So, of course, I would get beat up on the way to school or the way home from school. And because I just didn't fit in. And my intuition always came from a place of fear. How do I keep myself safe? What's the vibe of the school? Are they going to get out early? Should I hang back? Should I go? I remember one time, again, always coming from the place of fear, got beat up so bad the whole school came out to watch. And then when the girl was finished, these 2 guys jumped in and they finished me off and threw me in a ditch, and I couldn't get out till this nice boy came when everybody had left and helped me get home. And so, you know what? I think we all have that kind of story. Think about in your life where you just have to come from that place where fear overrides your intuition, your guidance. It's not about doing the right thing. It's about staying safe. And we all have that. And that's what we want to get out of, right? Maybe it happened at school or work or.
Mm-hmm. That's a really important part, because we want to get to that origin of really where was that detachment from being able to listen to that inner voice. And you may never have been able to really been encouraged to listen to that. Most of us aren't. And a part of that is just embracing our own uniqueness. I know what we're talking about here was a long time ago, but it's still happening today to our children are getting bullied and not being allowed to be unique. And it's kind of like a muscle that if, you know, we've been detached from this piece of us. And so it's gone.
Muscle memory. It's just like
Flat.
working out. You know, if you work out a lot and you stay in good shape and you fall off the wagon a little bit, when you go back, you snap back really quick because you have that muscle memory. Your body knows what to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that, I guess that's kind of like our filing system too,
Yeah.
right? We need to have that file of where we can put that, where we know it's okay and that we can listen to it.
Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of ways that we can look at this as well. There's, you know, when you make a decision, you can look at, well, do I ask everybody else what I should do? What are their opinions? And then base our decision on that. And when we do that, we're actually basing our decision on all their experiences, their belief, their perspective, how life is unfolding. And it may not have anything to do with how we really feel and what is our opinion on it. And another thing is maybe in our life, we've had a time when we've made a decision and it was not the best decision for us. I can say from my experience of my abusive marriages, right? Like I had made this decision that, oh, this is the right person. And then it really wasn't the right person or didn't feel like it. So that's another way that we can lose that trust in that inner voice. So there's maybe never ever connecting to it as a child or just being beat up for actually trying to be unique or trying to be who we really are or have that inner voice. Or like I said, it might be that other people, we trusted it and it's proven us wrong, or we're just no faith in that inner voice. And it's
I think we're scared. We're afraid to be wrong because we don't know what the repercussions are. So it's pretty easy to listen to other people and keep the situation going because it keeps us safe till the next thing that happens. I think we figure we'll manage it. We'll do the right thing, what everybody else wants. It keeps them happy. We'll figure it out until the next thing.
It's true. And I know like last week, I talked about this force inside me that actually made me, I had to go. It was just too uncomfortable to stay in circumstances, right? So we want to listen to that force, because if we're not listening to that force, it leads to sometimes, especially if it's, to leave a situation or something or say something, it can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. It can even lead to diseases if we're not listening to that.
Yes, I feel that force sometimes when I have a decision to make and I've got the two voices happening. I actually feel this huge flush come over my whole body. It's like this, like it would be in the water, this rush of water, and my gut starts churning. And then I have to make the decision. Am I going to make the safe answer that I know that will at least keep me safe and manageable? Or do I jump in feet first and trust and hope that that little voice knows what she's talking about? And
that safe thing, it may not even actually be safe. It's sort of an illusion of safety, that piece too, right?
Yeah. I'm actually having an experience right now in my life where I've been bringing something up that really needs to be handled for the sake of other people. They need help. Some stuff that's happening is not right, and I'm speaking out for it. And I've been finding, as I'm being aware and doing all of these tips that we've been sharing, I'm really aware of when that's happening now and what choices I need to make. Do I listen to my intuition? So it's easy when it's about other people because I'm doing it for other people. But I've jumped in and I've said something. And I see now that the powers that be are trying to shut me down, like right there. saying, oh, well, we're going to move on here. We're going to deal with this. And last week I actually said, well, no, actually, I'm speaking. This really needs to be dealt with. This is something that's really important. And I had that flush come over me and I decided just to jump in and do it. But I was aware of it. I decided to do it. And it worked out okay so far. And people came up to me afterwards and actually acknowledged that they have been seeing how I'm getting shut down and how important it is to fix these things, and that they really appreciated and thought it was valuable that I stood up and brought that to the table. So there it is, making a new file. It's okay. If somebody doesn't, and if people don't like it because you're doing this now, it's going to make them really uncomfortable. They're going to be super uncomfortable because now you're not manageable. Wait a sec, you're not saying what you're supposed to say and what's the status quo so we can move on. And they're not going to know how to deal with it. And that's okay.
Yeah. I love what you were saying there about, in your vulnerability and speaking up for yourself and for others that you're representing. It showed other people that it is doable, and they were like, yeah, I see it, and wanting as well to possibly speak up for themselves. So it's a great example. And when we have fear of authority or repercussions or whatever from speaking our mind, that means that they are having power over you, and they can shrink, squash you, not even being able to have a voice around that. So it's important that we do that. Speak up.
Yeah, and really start being aware of it, the power that people do have over you, and how that is, whether you're listening to your intuition and making good choices or just listening to other people that have control of you.
Yeah, and put you in that victim, right? You're not in a victory, you're in a victim. And especially if it's something that's your heart is telling you and your inner voice, and it's important, you need to say that. Yeah.
And it's hard. Let's acknowledge that this sounds really easy, but it's really hard. But you just take the first step. It's not something you're going to change overnight. It is a process, but it's definitely worthwhile.
Which leads us to our first step.
Yes.
Is becoming aware of our decisions. Are they from you or what you like or what you want, or are they from everybody else's opinion? And I have a wonderful example of this. If you're shopping and you're looking for a dress or something, you come out and the sales lady, oh, that looks wonderful on home like this.
Yeah. And then you never wear it. We all have those outfits in our closet. We never wear it. We don't feel good in it because we're not going out with the sales lady and she's not there to tell us it looks fabulous.
Exactly. So, it can be just small baby steps, just as little as that is start making a few decisions for yourself and really getting to know yourself. What do you like? What do you want? Right?
Yes.
And then tip 2 is having your intention of actually listening to that inner voice and setting that intention and building a relationship with it and saying, I'm going to start valuing your opinion and valuing, can't even say that word, but putting value to that voice so that you want to create that communication. And then my third tip is making a list of what you're afraid of. Those things that are stopping you and that you're afraid of, and then making a list on the other side of that of if you weren't afraid or if you walk through that fear, what would it look like on the other side?
Love that. Great tips. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make that list this week. I'm going to be really conscious of that. So thank you everybody for joining us. Come and join us every Sunday at 10 o'clock for the new perspective on trauma, abuse, chronic pain, and the steps to a thriving and healthy life. We will see you next week.